Well, a very good evening on Monday the 15th of June 26. I'm at a different location this evening because I couldn't be bothered going up to Glen tonight, and because the skies are so grey and gloomy, they'll be worse up Glen Crieff, I'm sure. So I've come out here to Action Glen. Well, of course, I would never refer to this area as Action Glen in the past. This is Culcrieff. Old Culcrieff farm is just down over there. But Crieff Hydro, who owned the land, well, like many farms in the Strathern area and Perthshire, in fact, the countrywide farming became, well, that was a working farm back in the 1980s. I remember the farmer, tenant farmer, Mr. Anderson. I used to have a lot of jollies with him because I was working over at Ardvarek School, and I used to meet him often when the water was pouring off the knock coming into Ardvarek, and he'd be up doing his best to try and alleviate the floodwaters coming off the hills. Although most of the water from the knock actually supplies many natural springs, and hence Jesus as well was a fine example of a natural spring, and the water was ice cold. And when I used to run around here, part of my route would be coming from well, down at the bottom there would be Shaggy Brig a long way down, and come up this long hill and keep going along and round beside the trees there and snaky way around. Ardvarek sits over that way, and up to Jesus as well. Ice cold water, summer, spring, autumn and winter, it didn't matter. It was absolutely brilliant water. Very rarely did it freeze, and it was, and then they mucked it up by doing something to the area behind. I think possibly it was something to do with the trees they planted. And then they tried to make amends and totally ruined it. That's another story. Action Glen is over there at the back. I should actually have a little wander around, shouldn't I? But at the back, let's get out the car, Andy, for a minute, please. Where's my keys? Look at that poor sycamore tree. It's been attacked with so many saws. It's almost naked now, isn't it? And this, of course, was the main Crieff Hydro golf club and course, which extended down that way. But it was such an arse, thought-out idea that they abandoned it completely. So there's no longer a golf course. There is a few holes that are way up the top there, but nothing like they had planned. Well, they spent millions of pounds making an 18-hole golf course, and from coming in from the Cormy Road there, I remember writing a letter to the Strathern Herald telling them it looked something like the South Downs with all the chalk. Instead of using normal sand that would integrate into the landscape, they used this bloody white. It's white. And it looked absolutely awful. The whole area was dotted in this white, so I complained about that as well. I've been complaining most of my life, but justly so. So they changed the white to the sand, and but the golf course never took off. Very few residents of the Crieff Hydro will come and spend a lot of money to spend half the bloody day whacking a ball around a golf course. I mean, it's true. And anyone who does come will hire golf clubs, whether at the Crieff Club or maybe even, fork out to around at Glen Eagles, perhaps 10 or 12 miles away. So anyway, that's the utility huts and stuff over there for maintaining all the grounds and stuff. It is looking a little bit better than it has been for a while, but that over there is where you can stop off and have an alcoholic drink if you wish, or something to nibble upon, and coffee. This coffee is quite good actually. I've sat out on the veranda on a few occasions. The veranda just at the very end there, and it's all right. Can't really knock it. You can see all the landscaped azaleas and stuff all in bloom, so it is very popular, this place, I have to tell you. But for me, with a long memory, I thought to myself, although there is cattle back over there, for a long while they made it rather tacky. I wonder if the residents, not the residents, but the guests at Crieff Hydro have actually complained, because it seems to have been tidied up, quite a bit in the last 12 months. I think what's happened is you get little forms to fill in and say there's anything you're happy with or unhappy with, and they probably said, yeah, there's far too much clutter in the countryside out at that Action Glen, and that's very true. There's far too much concrete, there's far too many signs, there's too much plastic in this bloody thing. Look, I mean, but I suppose, Andy, at the end of the day, if people on holiday, they want to know where they're going and what they're doing, hence why the signposts are all there, so you can't really complain. I mean, these signs were put up by it's Council Green Space, which is a bloody hopeless organisation, but these are the former ones that they put up years and years and years ago, 1998, and they've changed the signs a couple of times, but they get weathered very quickly. The only place in Perthshire you'll find them brand new all the time is bloody Comrie. Comrie gets everything, including the bloody flood prevention scheme that's put the council tax up for most of us. Well, Andy, that's a capital project. The funds will come from a separate source from council tax, you know. Well, it's still got to be paid back somehow. And I dare say that it's a 1 in 200 a year flood prevention, so the next flood of the proportions that it had in the 1990s will probably be about the year 2230 or 2290 or something like that. So you've driven all the way out here to complain about that, have you, Andrew? No, I wanted a different location, and the reason I've come out because I was getting fed up sitting in the house this evening. It's that gloomy stuff after tea. I had to put the fire on because it was desperately cold. Well, not cold, but much cooler than it should be. And but there is hope in the horizon, Andrew. Tell me more, please. Well, we've got a new moon in Gemini, so in the next 3 to 5 days we should see a shift in the weather patterns. All change again. It's been 2 weeks since the full moon, and it's been a long 2 weeks. I haven't done any hill walking for 3 weeks now, almost, no, 2.5 weeks, since I was away up the back of Glen direction, and you know, it's I wanted to rest anyway. When that hot weather came, I had to take some time out. I've done a couple of videos, so I don't want to repeat too much of what I've already talked about, so therefore we'll kind of stick to what's present in my brain. And what is present is the new moon in Gemini, and we've also got the start of the Mercury retrograde shadow, so that started on the 12th of June, and on the 29th of June we've got Mercury going into retrograde for 3 weeks, mostly in the sign of Cancer. So again, all communications will be upset, all emails will be misread, letters not arrive in time, or verbal communications, telephone conversation, banking matters, technology, mechanical devices, you name it. It'll all fall apart. But surprising for me, well, let me just say as well that the shadow effect will then continue from the third week in July right through until the 3rd of August. So you've got a lot of problematic times this summer until at least the first week of August. And I've noticed a pattern of that effect. It's been sort of present over a long, long period. I never really thought about it. And probably in its entirety, it's been there most of my life. Somehow things go a bit haywire during the month of late June and July for a while, you know. So I dare say that's down to the retrograde cycles, but also other planetary things. You're going to tell us something as well, Andy, about, oh yes, because during the last little spell I've had so many problems mechanically myself. Not so much with the vehicle, I have to say, touch wood, but bloody cooker required a domestic engineer, and that cost me a fortune. And then I had, I've talked about this, I'm just going to put this in this load, but I had a complete hard drive failure, critical failure, which was due not because of memory. There's plenty of space left in it, but it was a case of the age of the computer. Things were starting to make little kickle-cackle noises here and everywhere. It was very slow, freezing quite a bit, and hence it went on Saturday, a week past Saturday, and it was a dreadful couple of days of silence, because I hate using my Android for anything. And as a result, so I went. I'll tell you one thing that was of interest. The days suddenly doubled in length without the internet. It completely was like every hour slowed to an absolute minimum. I went on like that for all week. It was amazing. I put most of that time to good use, of course, but it was absolutely amazing just how long the day turned out to be without the internet. And so I've taken on board that perhaps we're not whizzing and the universe is not unfolding as fast as what people think, but it's just down to the fact of how you time manage your day. If you spend half the bloody day trying to skip adverts or scroll down things and shift back and forward and all the rest of the stuff you've got to do, no wonder your day disappears fast. And that's just the computer. Hell knows what you're doing, you're flicking around bloody channels. There's people that used to buy those TV Times and the Radio Times, I think it was. Well, the Radio Times was originally foil radio, but they listed every single programme that was due to be aired for the following week, and people used to sit down and bloody tick off what they're going to watch a week in advance, the whole week set out. I remember talking to somebody about that and saying, what a damn waste of life that is. Look at the little baby Goldcrest over there, Andy. It's in amongst the daisies. Where is he? There he goes. He's just a young one. A little Goldcrest, Andrew. So Action Glen doesn't have much bloody action tonight, but that's the reason I popped up at this time. I thought it's well after 8 o'clock, almost 8:30, really, because I thought if I come up, sort of any time early, the place is just heaving, and it's not a good idea to point your camera. I mean, people do it all the time nowadays. They seem to get away with it, pointing cameras and in the faces of the public, in city centres and everywhere. And I think, well, very, very intrusive behaviour, that. And no, it's just cameras fucking everywhere, really, when you think about it. There's a purpose to my camera, I'm sure, but I'm afraid the view is not quite as enthralling as I thought it might be. We've got some maple over there, Annie. Not to be confused with the Copper Beech. Oh yes, I was doing an upload this afternoon from my garden. I'll put this one up first, I think, and then put the one up the garden. I've got others I'd done when I was up Glen the other night ago. Spent hours yapping to this camera, but probably of no interest to anyone. It's just yabbling on about different stuff. Because it's a static view, it's not really that exciting. It's different if you're watching something of movement, but it's just well, a still camera is not. It's not great viewing, really. But yes, all this area, as I recall, when I was a youngster. I mean, only the horses from the Crieff stables we walk out here, of course, would be guided walks with the stable lads or stable girls, and taking guests on the back of horses and stuff. And this was always a thoroughfare for them. And in a way, it has retained much of its original character around, apart from the farm, of course. The farm still stands, but it's been incorporated, well, the farmhouse at least still stands, but the rest of the farm's been incorporated into those horrible chalet type things, those houses, which are very popular with the guests, apparently, who don't like to be in the hotel. Sort of antisocial, socially avoidant holiday makers. Yes, we'll come on holiday, but we won't mix with anyone. Of course, it used to be the time at Crieff Hydro they didn't serve any alcohol. This is my lifetime. This is not something from a vintage era. This is something. I think they changed the ruling sometime in the late 80s, early 90s. I'm sure it was, because they had a long association with the Church of Scotland, the Crieff Hydro, and many of the ministers, that's the Church of Scotland ministers, would arrive en masse with their wives. It was put up for nothing. They got a holiday. I'm sure it was for a week. They got a free holiday, and the whole idea was to give the wives a break from all the different things that they had to do as a minister's wife. Always answering the telephone or having to make scones and cakes for church fetes and luncheons and all the rest of the stuff, So that was good, and but yeah, it was a strict no alcohol policy, and I think what they did was they introduced table wine only. You could have wine at the table. You could bring your own bottles to the table eventually, but they didn't have any bars, and I'm sure that I'm not entirely sure, but there's certainly higher priced drinks than elsewhere. So if you're prepared to pay £6.50 for a pint of lager, well, Good luck. The most hours I was charged for a pint of lager was 1989, May 89 in London, in Soho. I was charged £113 for a pint of Carlsberg, and I couldn't fucking believe it. And I gone in out of curiosity into this sort of dodgy place. Although it wasn't that dodgy, it was just come in. And I seen a couple of Japanese fucking tourists arguing with somebody with a credit card in their hand. I thought I better keep my eyes peeled for things happening here. Yeah, so there was a bed set up in the middle of the sort of barred area, the lounge area. And this girl came across and she said, "Would you like a drink?" I said, "Yeah, I'll have a lager, please. Pint." Yeah. And she was frivolously dressed, and she was quite attractive. But she wasn't the one that came back with the lager. It was some brute and of a woman, and she says, "Okay, oh yeah, that's right." And then that girl did come back, and she sat down with me for a little while, and she was chatting, and I was sipping away at my lager until I fucking got a back taste of it, and I thought, oh, I said, I don't want that. That beer's off. And anyway, this is a true story, and it's just come to my brain. Well, it has been in the back of my mind, since it happened. But tonight it's came shooting out of my bloody front nodules. And the long and short of it is, they came and presented this bill, and they said to me, I knew it was going to be expensive. I'm talking 1989 prices, and I thought they might hit me with £5 or £10 for this pint. So I was well prepared for that. But when they said it was £113, I told them to go and fuck themselves. And she said, no. And this woman, who was Scottish, I know the county she came from, but that's as far as I'm going to say. She said, "Oh, you will pay me." And I says, "No. Just show me the door." And she said, so the two guys, the two bruisers, came to escort me from the premises. I says, I'll be leaving exactly the same way that I entered the premises. I'm not going out that back door. How much money have you got? I says, I pulled it out. I says, pound coins had just come out and about at that time. I said, I've got these. I think they've got about 6 or 7 of them. Yeah, that'll do. Oh yeah, that's when they tried to escort me out the back door. I says, no, I'll go out the way I came in. And I did. But £113 for a pint of lager. That's another story I've shared with people in the town, and they said that's a lot of shite. Well, I don't care what they think. It's true. So I've come down to the Glen distillery, much more familiar ground for me. I didn't really like sitting up there at the Action Glen, and it wasn't much to view. You see, there was no sort of well, the light was not very good for one thing, and it was quite bland. In fact, if there's no sunshine there, all the green on the trees and the grass and the hedgerows can give you a bit of a sore head if you're not careful, especially if you don't like the colour green. It's quite oppressive, and I mean, this is a personal opinion, but it can start to close in on you, people who live in the forest only survive because of the birdsong. Otherwise, they'd lose their mind. So I've come out. I've driven obviously through some of the upmarket streets of Crieff, down past Crieff Hydra, down Ferntower Road, Victoria Terrace, Coalbells Road, and out the Comrie Road to get here. And I think I saw about 3 people in the whole journey. Each of those were walking a dog. No, Andy, come on, you saw more than that. It's one person walking 2 dogs, 2 gentlemen, both with dogs, so that's 3. Then you saw another 2 people, that's 5. And then you saw another person walking a dog, that's 6. 6 people I saw. Which is not a lot, is it, for midsummer? So expected rain is arriving on my windscreen, just little spots of it. I think it'll be a wet night. I was saying that those people who've come to tackle the West Highland Way of late, I feel heart sorry for them. It must have been terrible when the wet, humid conditions, and it's one thing being out and outdoors and then getting home into the house and able to sort of get yourself together, whether that be a hot meal or the comfort of maybe having a hot shower or something. But if you're outdoors for several days, and all your stuff, all your gear is saturated, and you've got to put up a wet tent in the rain and crawl into a wet tent and sleep in the rain. It's just not good. Not all right one episode, but not 5 or 6 nights or more in succession. So I think a lot of people will be depressed this summer. It's not just the people's financial situation, it's the fact that the other side of Europe, it's baking hot, blue skies every day. People are only starting to leave their house to go for dinner, most of the European countries. To sit till, for a couple of hours, chat with friends and maybe over some wine or sangria or something, And everything's very more relaxed, and everything in this country's tension and tax. I saw recently that Scotland's taxation on alcohol is one of the highest in Europe outside Switzerland or Scandinavia. But the Swiss and the Scandinavians earn huge amounts of money to compensate for that. I'm talking about the basic wage, not talking about high profiles or celebrities or professionals. And the taxation on a pint equivalent in Spain is 4 pence in the pound. Here it's about 57 pence, 56, 57 pence. And I think the highest you'll get is Morocco. I think it's around about 90 pence in the pound. 90% of the price you pay for your alcohol in Morocco is taxed. But that's probably because of the religious connotations to that. I dare say, like the Calvinists of the West Coast, I mean, you probably wouldn't be able to, at one point, get a drink on a Sunday. I don't know if it's still the case, but most bars, I understand, were closed on a Sunday. Couldn't get a drink on a Sunday anywhere. Couldn't get a carry out on a Sunday. Alcohol from a retail outlet. So you can see it's quite gloomy as we sit and gaze at the windscreen together. And the only answer for this is to retreat homeward. As I say, I put the fire on because, well, I like it for hot water. Not every night, so I don't put it on, but it keeps the lum dry and keeps the air warm, stops any dampness in the atmosphere, especially after humid weather. So there's nothing doing, and I'm afraid 85%, or probably about 95% of the population are indoors now. It very much changed days. I have to say that, I mean, a June evening when I was growing up was a hive of activity. Everywhere you went, people in their gardens doing things. There's, well, and there's always sort of there's always some sort of entertainment, whether it be the cinema on a Monday, on a Wednesday, and a Saturday. And a Thursday as well, I think it was. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday was the cinema nights, and Tuesday and Friday were the bingo nights. And there's huge crowds for the bingo. Talking about when Crieff had its own cinema and auditorium, wonderful place. Bad idea for that to have been closed. And then they fucking knocked down the Crieff Hotel, the Star Hotel, to build a new cinema when they've already people have made it pretty clear they don't go to the cinema. There's no wish to go to the cinema. If they want to watch a movie, they'll watch it at home on a DVD, or they'll tune into that nonsense Netflix. I have to say I was really disturbed when the council granted permission to. It wasn't a listed building, sadly. It was out with the listed building by about 12 years, I think it was. But nevertheless, it was a grand, beautiful building. There was nothing wrong with it. All it needed was some interior work. But the structure, I mean, it's a stone structure. There's nothing wrong with the stone. It could easily have been salvaged, that building. I was heartbroken to see it getting bulldozed. And it's the same cabal that have been involved in lots of things in the town, I have to tell you. The same people. We're definitely staring at a very, very damp windscreen, Andy. Can you not turn your wipers on, please? Well, it's starting the motor. Well, do it, please. That's a bit better, surely. At least the forecast was right. Rain by 8:30, 9 o'clock. I saw it coming in, that's why I moved away from Action Glen. wasn't just entertainment like the cinema or the bingo. I mean, there was Highland nights, and there was accordion and fiddle nights. The pipe band played a couple of times a week. There was brass bands and silver bands every Sunday across the park during the summer months. There was a whole host of things. And of course there was lots of different clubs. There was the karate club, and there was lots of the football clubs, so they trained and I don't know, obviously I was in a running club, but there was just such a order, activity, and then that didn't count the pubs. I mean, the pubs were absolutely jam-packed most nights of the week. Well, the weekend especially, of course. Most people came out, Thursdays to Sundays, but Friday and Saturday being the busiest, of course. But during the week, I mean, several hostelries which were always occupied, right to the last bell, which they clanged the bell. And last orders, many a time I've been last orders, I've been surprised how quickly evenings disappeared in good company. Yeah, of course, I remember the times when the pubs used to close at 2:30 on a Sunday, not open again until 6:30. Sometimes they didn't open again. But they were forced to close. It was the law. There's nothing wrong with that, actually. Not at all. Gave people a chance to sort of have a snooze. So they weren't completely pissed by the time it came around to, 10 o'clock on a Sunday night. Couldn't make their work on the Monday. I mention often this channel about the ringing of the church bells, which were cancelled out. And this has all happened in my lifetime. I mean, it's a horrible thing to experience. Is so much activity in your own backyard, and then it all just shutting down. The whole thing shutting down. And people are shutting down as a result. I see it every day. They are less and less communicative than they used to be. They can't hold a conversation for very long. They get themselves all anxious about a conversation more than 2 minutes long. They start fumbling about looking for the handheld device, ruffling in their pockets for the phone if you speak to them for more than 2 minutes. So I'll make this a part 2. I think it would be too long to put them two together, these ones tonight, but I think it's a bit silly, Andy. It's not much fun for the viewers to be sitting looking at a very dim windscreen here at Glen just because you're chatting away to yourself, bumbling a lot of nonsense to yourself. Well, I've done that on the last 4 videos in succession, I'm sure. Fairly lengthy. So I have saved them. I saved them all but one lot, so I don't know why I got rid of that episode, but that was also from up Glen. Yes, I think it's time to retreat, Andy. It's going to be a very wet night. But at least one thing for certain. When you go home, the house will be pleasantly cosy. Oh, the cat will be there. Come on, Andy, the cat will be there sitting waiting for you. It was there first thing this morning. It won't sit in the rain for long, but I dare say it'll be sitting on my doorstep, so I better go. The poor cat. It's a beautiful cat. And I have to say I'm very, very pleased that the cat returned. It's 2 months since it had its kittens now. Almost to the day. And you know the story about me thinking I'd never see the cat again. And as if by a miracle that cat returned. And it's back to its old ways with me, visiting as much as it can, several times a day, up to an hour, 2 hours a day. 2 hours a visit, sorry, a day. 3 times or 4 times every day when I'm there. But I opened the door this morning, that's the first thing that happens, the cat came in. Good morning, Andy. It's true. And I've never seen the owner since she thanked me for looking after it. And I never saw that person before. So equally bizarre, isn't it? So this is a new moon, as I was saying earlier, from Glen. I'll take advantage of this new moon. It's going to be quite special. Because of the fact it's in Gemini, and Uranus has gone back into Gemini the first time in 84 years. That happened the 26th of May. And it's very strange, but the ruling planet of the new moon is actually Mercury. Mercury being my planet, my ruling planet. So that's why I get this thing about the new moon. This is why the new moon always, I know it's in the sky before I see it. So I can't wait to see it this week. It'll be such a moment, I can assure you. That will probably be about the 18th or 19th of June. It should be showing its face clearly somewhere in the northwest sky. After sunset, of course.